from his appearance on the Brady Bunch, which some of the stories we read this morning said that's what he was most remembered by. We're joined now by a gentleman we've spoken with before. He's an author, primarily dealing with pop culture. His current book is called Hello, It's Me, Dispatches from a Pop Culture Junkie. His name is Chris Epting. Chris, welcome back to the program.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me, you guys.
I'll say to you what I said to Sal Cerencioni, who is our rock reporter, earlier. I haven't thought of Davy Jones in quite a while, but I'm kind of surprised by everybody's reaction, including my own, that since his passing, you realize what a true rock and pop icon Davy Jones is and was.
I tell you, a real sleeping giant. I mean, just listening to that clip you played, that to me is like the greatest moment of any episode of any 70s TV show ever. And it was post-Monkees. I mean, it was after his career should have been over. But he had this knack, I think, for staying relevant by not running from who he was, by having fun with it and sort of embracing, you know, the icon that he was. And I think that's why a lot of people were caught off guard. We forgot how much we liked this guy.
You know, that's the word, like the guy. He'd been on the program a few times over the years, and you just walked away going, nah, he's a sweet man, that guy.
Yeah.
And we're taking calls all morning about people that met him in the 70s, met him 3 weeks ago. And he stayed. He seemed like the kind of guy who would stay until everybody got their autograph, everybody got their picture.
Look, he took Marsha to the dance right there. For a lot of the 70s, that secured it. You know what I mean? He lived the dream. He did what you all wanted to do. And I mean, I had the honor, really great privilege last summer. He sang at a friend's birthday party, did kind of a living room concert. And it was amazing because that's when you realize, too, the guy really was a performer. You know, he didn't phone it in. The guy knew how to sing, and he knew how to deliver a song. He was a great romantic balladeer. And, you know, I think he was a lot better than people gave him credit for. But the Monkees, you know, they were sort of like a band in reverse. After they got cast in the show, they became a fairly decent band that played their instruments, that sang live, and that toured. So, I mean, he did have some chops, I think, you know, from early on.
You know, Chris, one of the things yesterday when this story broke, I went and I found some footage of Davy. Either the night before or a couple of nights before he died, he was performing at a B.B. King's, you know, a smaller club, but it was packed. And Davy was having the time of his life. He was singing. He was telling stories. He was enjoying. And I think the message from this is that, you know, here this guy embraced that, and then 4 hours later he's dead. We all need to try to live in the moment and enjoy our life as we live it, because you never know.
I totally agree. A friend of mine has an expression, we're all on trapdoors. You know, you just don't know. And again, I think the fact that he was so comfortable in what he did and kind of put himself out there to, because again, he was great. You know, all of our wives who love Davy Jones, you know, when my wife met him, he was exactly, I think, more than she expected him to be. And he was, I think, very good at being who people wanted him to be, you know, because we all kind of carry around images in our heads. And you talk to a lot of people, you know what it's like. They don't always live up to that. But I think he was really good at that, and making sure people got the right Davy Jones experience. You know what I mean?
And you know more than, I mean, you knew this before everybody, but he was actually on the Ed Sullivan Show the night the Beatles performed for the first time.
Yeah, he was in the Broadway cast of Oliver at that point, and people forget the variety shows back then had, you know, the plate spinner, the Broadway cast, and the rock band and all this. And that night, the cast of Oliver was performing, and he watched the Beatles from the wings that night. And I remember I talked to him about this. He was really taken aback by that. And I think in the back of his head said, you know what, this looks like fun. I can do this.
You know, I think it's interesting that the Monkees television show in the 60s was a huge hit, and it wouldn't have mattered what they sang, it would have worked. But when you look back at the songs Last Train to Clarksville, I'm a Believer, Stepping Stone, Pleasant Valley Sunday, these are really great songs that hold up even today.
Absolutely. I think the Monkees were better than they had to be. Some credit, of course, goes to Don Kirshner. I think when they built the Monkees, they knew the radio charts at that time were tough. There was a lot of Beatles, a lot of Stones, a lot of great 60s music. To compete, they had to have great songs. They made the investment, and look at those songs today. I mean, you've got, a host of really timeless classics that are never going to go away, you know, because they're so well crafted.
And the television show, the Saturday television show, was right in my wheelhouse. That's the age. I was the perfect demographic for that, and I enjoyed it immensely. Would I be correct in saying it was ahead of its time, and it actually kind of brought the music video to fruition?
I totally agree. That show was so stylized and so strange and directed in such an offbeat way. It's not just some weird 60s artifact. It's a cutting-edge TV show that blended a lot of strange kinds of comedy and a lot of kind of 60s counterculture. If you looked between the lines on that show, there's a lot more going on, just like in the movie Head, you know. I mean, it's a very artful show that definitely holds up.
Now, Chris, from your book, Hello, It's Me, Dispatches from a Pop Culture Junkie, which is what we spoke with you about the first time we had you on.
Right.
Anybody who's listening, who's enjoying and think they might want to read, what basically are they going to find in that book?
Well, it's a book of pop culture experiences. I've had this kind of strangely blessed life where I find myself in these really odd moments with people, everyone from, you know, Michael Jordan and Mick Jagger, and I always made a real habit of recording these moments and stories, and finally decided to kind of weave them all into one big story about what it's like to go through life where you just have this sort of, you know, happy coincidences that occur, and what I learn about these people, and it's always fun to kind of share inside stories. So there's a lot of that, and things that are funny, things that are sad, everything in between. But it's again, it was a fun book, and it's ongoing. I mean, I always have these moments where something happens where I think I've got to write that for a part two.
His name is Chris Epting. He's an author of not only Hello, It's Me, Dispatches from the Pop Culture Junkie. He also has books called James Dean Died Here, Led Zeppelin Crashed Here, Marilyn Monroe Died Here, Roadside Baseball, The Ruby Slippers, Madonna's Bra, and Einstein's Brain.
Well, Chris, just keep writing, and we'll have you on again really soon. Thank you for the update on Davy.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the great work. I really appreciate it.
Nice of you. Thank you. When we come back,